Hey everyone, welcome back to Sunday Nights. It's your host, Faye Seidler of Sunday Nights with Faye Seidler. And it's Sunday night, and we're going to start with the show. And it's going to be a great show. It's always a great show. I will let you know if it's terrible. And then you maybe don't want to watch it. But this one's good, so keep on watching. I like to start off some events, or just kind of groups, news, I don't know, things that happen. There's a widow support group, so individuals who have lost a partner are able to meet and kind of get support, peer support for each other. I have information up here. It's something that's kind of, I believe, somewhat new to this area, but anytime I find resources for support for individuals that have experienced loss, especially losing a partner, is really good to be able to share. So if you want or need more information on that, just let me know and I can get you that information. A really cool training's coming up on November 21st here in Fargo. It is going to be a training specifically on welfare checks. This is to let individuals know what welfare checks can and can't do. The intention is that there's a lot of people who really don't know what it is or what it entails, and I think most people left to their own devices just think it's, police show up with gun, hand on holster, and bad things can happen. There's a lot of things welfare checks can and can't do. There's a lot of information that's helpful to have before you try to call in a welfare check. So this is to help clear that up, especially for folks who work in social work or human service in some kind of way and have never had to do this for a client. So that's something that we have coming up November 21st. Our Fargo Youth Initiative is in full swing again. There was an event where a lot of our Fargo youth were able to connect with local leaders. This is specifically through the city of Fargo. It invites youth leadership to define what's going on with our youth, what problems that they're encountering, and ways they can get support from our adults and city leaders. The landscape of growing up today is so different than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. So every time we have that direct perspective of what life actually is like for youth and what they actually need is better for everyone. So I'm really glad that we are seeing efforts to really center youth voices. There will be elections November 5th. That will be 2 days as of time of recording. I want people to know to keep hope regardless of what happens and to make sure that you plan safely for the stressful night that's going to be November 5th and potentially the days or weeks that follow that night. I try to be very nonpartisan in the ways I approach my news because I want everyone to benefit from it. And the fact is, no matter what your political party is, you are probably scared. Like, we have conditioned ourselves to to treat every election as the most important possible thing, where if you lose, all of your rights and your potential future are gone. And there's so much that can be said about that, but I do want people to know both parties do feel that. And if it's going to be a stressful night, to safety plan, just very logical, matter of fact, be with friends that night. No matter which way it goes, be with friends, find support, find opportunities, know that we have 988, and know that as important as our presidential elections are, as well as our elections all across the board, there is a November 6th, there is a December 2024, there is a 2025 coming up, and for every way we want to make the world better, we can keep on fighting no matter who is in office, and that's how I lead my work. There's a fantastic article from Buffalo Fire featuring a story with Elizabeth, Black Dog Bear, and their efforts to break down barriers for LGBT+ folks within the United Tribes Technical College. Buffalo's Fire is an incredible news source for a lot of things impacting our Indigenous populations across the region. If you're not following them already, I really recommend it. It's independent news that covers stories that we won't hear about otherwise, like the one I'm featuring right now. In terrible news, our North Dakota jails and prisons are full. Like, the beds are full, they're at capacity. We're now at a waiting list to incarcerate people. And as far as I understand, that also means for all of our county sheriff places, like all of our, not jails per se, or prisons, beds are full everywhere, in every shelter, in every way. And this is something that has been a growing continual problem that we really do need to address in our 2025 legislative session. There is an opinion commentary submitted to the North Dakota Monitor featuring a review of domestic violence threats within North Dakota. I work pretty closely with the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center. I provide trainings there. I've been given trainings there. Preventing domestic abuse is something that's personally important to me. And what I've heard is this year it's been worse than ever. I think domestic abuse and instances of it are going to be something that directly correlates to instability in our society. as individuals feel stressed and anxious, as they are more beaten down, it makes it so we are more likely to lash out to each other. We're less flexible in the ways that we can communicate, and all of that results in more violence happening and sometimes death. This is terrible. It's really terrible and heartbreaking, and it's something where we need avenues to help people who might be experiencing abuse. A lot of abuse happens because the individuals who are victimized often are part of it is they remove the support structures. A lot of times their life gets smaller and smaller as an abuser takes away a lot of their opportunities, connections, and friendship. I just want people to know that there are services, though. The Rape and Abuse Crisis Center in particular can be called. And what I try to tell people is all those circumstances are messy and complicated and feel impossible, but that is the norm for our places like the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center and sister organizations across the state. They're used to dealing with that, and they try to get people out and help in ways that are matter, that can happen. So for anyone, if you ever suspect this, we need to watch out for each other. There's a lot of signs that you can tell someone is experiencing domestic violence or abuse. There are the obvious ones like bruising of some kind, but there are less obvious ones like maybe you stop seeing your friend and maybe they've really withdrawn. That doesn't mean there's a domestic abuse case, but these are reasons we should reach out and try to help people. Even in clinical settings, we can have resources in the bathroom like Are You Safe at Home? The more we can connect people to places for safety, the more we can reduce instances, because a lot of time domestic violence is something that escalates. So it can start out small, but in time, that could be months or years, it becomes lethal. Like it leads into that as behavior isn't addressed. So the faster, the sooner we can offer tools, support, get people to safety, the better our outcomes are going to be. So that's kind of, no, it's a problem. It's becoming bigger, and it's something that we need to take care of each other. I'd like to promote the Foundation for Healthy North Dakota. They have a newsletter that just went out. They prioritize a lot of general public health and community health. They do a lot of research within vaccinations and how often we are vaccinating our public, since vaccinations are the easiest preventative factor for communicable diseases for a lot of different things. So they do work with that, and they also currently are connecting health initiatives across the state. If you work as a health organization, making sure that you are part of that and part of larger discussions about public health can be good for everyone. So I just want to let you know about this newsletter. In data, we have some information on autism diagnosis. If you are someone who is dabbled in neurodivergency or been part of healthcare in the last 10 years, our understanding of autism, as well as just kind of the spectrum of autism, has increased dramatically. We used to think of autism as this incredibly debilitating thing where it was individuals who were constantly stemming, unable to perceive environments, constantly reacting in negative outbursts. Like that is how a lot of us were conditioned to understand autism. But how we understand it today is just this is a different kind of way brains work. And there is a lot of different expressions of autism that can go from someone who has very little agency in something that's going on in their life and people who have as much agency as anyone else. It tends to be just brains working differently, and not to like give you, I can't in a couple of seconds or minute give you the full story on all that, but I just want folks to know that we have come so far in our understanding of what autism means and what it is, and we are able to better understand that within youth growing up and the different ways it can present. And oftentimes when youth are given adequate tools of support, regardless if they're allistic or autistic, regardless where they are, they will thrive as adults and have full agency over their life to do what they would like to. So just some updates on that. I found a data brief that is really interesting and needed. It is a breakdown of custody disputes for trans parents. I haven't looked into it myself. It's pretty comprehensive, but it's a really needed resource because often trans individuals are extremely discriminated against within custody battles. And there is a lot of stigma and prejudice that goes into how we treat trans parents. A lot of times you have judges who believe trans parents are unfit to be parents or would confuse kids, and this isn't really the case. Trans parents are as good as any other parent or as bad as any other parent. Being trans does not have any qualifications on your parenthood, and often if a trans individual is not able to transition and still has to suffer from the poor quality of life and dysphoria, that tends to make them a worse parent. Most of the time, trans individuals who transition are able to better care for their kids and their family. It will get better, it will just take a while to get there, and it's cool that we are getting resources now for circumstances like this. I want to let you know on November 17th, we are inviting a call of, I'm going to make sure it's November 7th, change. Okay. On November 17th, we're doing a call of action to put a green light on your porch to signal support for those experiencing, for youth experiencing homelessness. There are a significant amount of youth who experience homelessness either by themselves because they have, run away, or situations like that are occurring, or as part of their family. The night is really to help illustrate that these youth are not responsible for that. Like, youth should be taken care of, and when youth do not have safe environments to go to, it isn't their fault. YouthWorks does tremendous work for helping our youth, but it's just understanding that, as we talked about a lot of issues across tonight's episode, we need a lot more support. And these are systemic issues. It is because parents are also stressed. It's because schools are stressed, systems are stressed, property taxes are way too low. Like, there are all these issues that are coming together where it's hurting a lot of our kids, and they're feeling the trickle down impact of societal stress. So the green light is to show that there really is support out there, that people really do care. And it is going out with also, do a green light, but maybe also chip in $20, $30, $50 to YouthWorks and their mission. When people ask me where to put money to, I usually talk about First Link, I talk about YouthWorks, I talk about the Red River Child Advocacy Center. Like, these are places that keep people alive in very real ways. The funding directly keeps people alive. There are other nonprofits doing good work, but the urgency of places like YouthWorks is so integral and important. So think of this green light as not just a light in the night. That's important. Think about it as a commitment to assuring our youth have safety and warmth in their life. I wanted to highlight, on Saturday, there was the Memories concert that was put on in fundraising for the Fargo-Moorhead Gay Men's Choir. There's video of it. You can actually now watch it now. It's on their event page, so I have that shared. So if you missed it and are interested in looking at it, you can listen to it, and they are asking for $15 donations for folks who experience it to go to the Gay Men's chorus. So that's up there. I just want to let you know about that. It is time once again for the Transgender Night of Hope that is behind me. You can see some of the words, some of the time. That is going to be happening November 20th. It'll happen right after the Transgender Day of Remembrance. The event is intended to create kind of an end to that stress cycle, because often events like the Transgender Day of Remembrance can be very deep, they can be very heavy, and if you don't have a place to kind of center that hope, and to really find a way to center some of the trauma of listening to those that we have lost, it can be scary. November is a time we lose an hour. We just did. We lost an hour. It's going to be darker out every day. We're coming up to events like Thanksgiving and Christmas, which can be way harder for individuals who are trans due to dynamics with their family. It can start to get colder, so we can feel more isolated. It's a tough time. The Night of Hope is to remind us that there is warmth, there is hope, there are people fighting, and there are people all across the state who really are rooting for you. I grew up feeling entirely alone. Like, there was no one like me. And I can't do a whole lot for people across the state, to be honest. But what I can do is show you that you aren't alone. And every day we try to create avenues of support and help and hope, and it can be tough to remember that when things get tough. So I create this Night of Hope event to center us in healing, to center us in hope, and to keep us warm for the winter months as much as we can. Anyone can submit a video or please share on social media to recommend people do that. Usually about a minute or two is what I ask. It can be a little bit less. It can just be a couple of lines. It doesn't have to be big. But ultimately, whatever you want to get me, I will try to use. I want to really just show people the life across the state and the joy it is to actually to be trans. As much as we hear all those negative messages, it is incredible to be trans. It is amazing to own yourself in your body, to own who you are. That is a journey of joy. As much as people can be hateful or awful, it is reclaiming yourself in such cool ways. That could be being trans, that could be gender diverse, non-binary, that could be anywhere on the spectrum. It could be any way that we identify within the broader LGBTQ plus communities. There is hope. I'm going to show you a little bit of last year, just so you can kind of get a feel for it. But again, I'm taking any kind of submissions, any kind of art, any kind of music. Please help me share it. Please help me make it a night to remember. So thank you. Thank you for helping me with this. I will probably be doing like dozens of hours of editing to hopefully make this video something worth watching. So I hope you'll join me for that.
My name is Monica, and I'm the mom of a non-binary teenage child. I think it's the easiest thing in the world to love your child unconditionally and accept them unconditionally. I hope more parents are like that. It really is the most important and exciting and joyful thing to watch your child become who they truly are, and it makes your relationship that much deeper. It also makes it that much more truthful. It's not the easiest thing in the world to be a trans or non-binary person. So let's support our trans and non-binary loved ones and families and community members, because it makes the world a better place. It might sound cliche, but that's the truth.
Hey kids, I'm going to be doing something huge. I'll be doing the first ever State of the State report for LGBTQ plus youth, or in short, SOS for LGBTQ plus youth. This will be a combination of basically everything I've ever done in my life in one report that will be put out there before the end of the year, as soon as I can, but realistically, time-wise, it's probably going to be like January 1st, December 31st at 11:59 p.m., if you know what I'm talking about. But I want you to know that this is something I'm doing a few different things with. If you are an LGBTQ plus youth and you want to share your story with me in any way, it can be anonymously, like, it's your name doesn't need to be included on it, but just your day-to-day life, what's going on, how you feel, what you want people to know about it, I will take that. That'll be one component of the State report. The other component is going to be the data summary of our youth risk behavior survey data, which I now have access to the full summary for our youth in middle and high school. It'll be a summary of all of that put into a single comprehensive report that's easy to access. The third thing I'm doing with the status report is I'm asking every organization that works with youth all across North Dakota what they're doing to keep our LGBTQ plus youth safe. I'm not asking if you accept or understand or support queer youth. I'm asking, what are you doing to keep them safe? I think it would be ludicrous today to suggest that queer youth don't exist. They do. And if they exist, are we making sure that they're not being bullied or targeted, or that they have support if that happens? That's what the intent of the report is, and the intent of the getting this. So I have a Google Sheets for organizations in particular to fill out. You can come at this any way that makes sense. If you're an organization that works with youth because you are a clinic, I will take that. If you're a school, I will take that. If you are a government organization like the NDDPI, I will email you, and tomorrow, expect that. I know I have a lot of fans from the North Dakota Department of Public Instruction that constantly check in on my show and care about what I'm doing, which is great, because now you can expect an email coming to you. I don't have perfect answers for what the State of the State report is going to look like, but that's my intention. And basically, this is kind of a test run too. I want to put this all together, and then I want to keep on doing this in 2025, 2026. I want this to be the start of something we continue to track across the state. So I'm excited. Like, it's kind of been, I've been working 10 years to get to basically a report like this, and I finally have all the tools together where I can create something I think that will be meaningful and impactful. So please help me in whatever way it makes sense to make this happen, because I really want our lawmakers to be informed about how our queer youth are doing in our 2025 session. I know people are scared of the government or being political, but like, that's how society works. Like, we've agreed upon that for hundreds of years in America about having a government, and then our government, our electoral bodies, the representative democracy will then make decisions on our funding and where we put effort into to make sure we are doing good as a state. So I don't work in I don't work in a partisan way. I work very nonpartisan. I work on issues. I work on safety, suicide prevention, and that means making sure that our leaders, who really control a lot of what we end up doing and what we focus on as a state, are aware and well informed so they can make good choices. So that's very intentional for what I want to do. I also wanted to use it to help inform any stakeholder, but I do very much want this in front of all of our lawmakers so they can make good decisions in 2025. So that's what I have for you. This Sunday night was shilling the stuff I'm doing. So if you want to come at me and say, Faye, your show is just about promoting your stuff, wow, you can. I don't know. Next week, I'm hoping to have a summary on our LG Plus summit that happened. I'm still getting some stuff together for it. It will be pretty big, I think. It'll probably be a lot of my episode, if not all of it, because it'll be a ton of work. And then I don't know what's going to happen after that, because the Night of Hope is going to be on the 20th. So it's kind of going to be a turbulent month for me. Just maybe expect I might have to like cancel a show this month because of all the work I'm doing. But I will keep informed on everything. You can follow me on social medias. You can follow my newsletter. There's a lot of ways to engage with me. But thank you for everyone who tunes in, supports the show, shares it with other people. The more that we can connect to each other, the more we can build hope together. So thank you for being here, and have a good night. Well, thank you everyone for watching my show. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a good rest of your week. I hope we see you back here next week. Just want to give some thank yous to all the folks here who contributed to the show, who made it all a great time and informed us about the cool stuff they're doing. He will be my outro probably for a while until I choose to change it. You all have a good day. Bye.